is floor stretch, so let's start with the standing pose. Nah, just kidding. All right. I'm with you, Kelly. Right? Well, today's got to be very easy because we're supposed to go for a walk later today. And, it's like a 17-mile walk. I just don't like it. I don't like it. I tried to get out of it, but then Sterling made me feel guilty, and you know how that goes. All right, so when we come down to the floor, how do we come down to the floor? However you want, really. I like to have the legs hip width apart, knees about 90-degree bend, right? Hands behind the back of the legs. That's always, especially if you have a sore lower back, that's the great way to do it. If you're wanting to work hard, you take your hands in front of the heart and slowly come back. If you want to work really hard, take the arms up towards the ceiling and come back. If you want to make it almost impossible, take your hands behind the back of the head and slowly come back. And you know what? I just woke up, so I'm going to come back and just collapse to the floor. All right. From here, we just want to bring the right knee in towards the chest. And you can grab hold of the side of the leg or the back of the leg. Either way, I like to just interlace the fingers. Hold the back of the leg, but then raise the foot up towards the ceiling so your shin is relatively perpendicular to the floor. Now, even though most of us will probably run out of room, and we can bring the leg right into the belly. You can even use your left leg, lift your hips up slightly. Don't tuck your tailbone, but see if you can extend your tailbone towards your heels and relax your hips back down. Now, even though the thigh, you run out of room, I don't want you to take the leg out to the side and try to get a little bit more opening. You want to keep the leg right in line, and if you run out of room, so be it. Run out of room. But then use a little isometric push where I'm going to try to extend the leg up towards the ceiling, but my arms are going to hold me and keep that knee right there. So I just want a little activity, a little awareness of the hamstring, especially up high where it meets the glute. Right? So then I check in and see what kind of muscular involvement I got. And right away, I started to feel the front of the hip, like the top of the thigh, right in that hip crease area. So that tells me, hey, Mike, my tensor fasciae lata is a little bit aggravated maybe, and maybe after a class here I need to do a little foam rolling on TFL, or do a couple of stretches, we'll see. Maybe I just need a massage. I think that's what I need. Unfortunately, we can't get one lately here. It's kind of ruining my my whole what I look forward to during the month. Now, see if you can slowly extend that leg up towards the ceiling. Keep the hands right above the knee into the hamstring, so the arms will just straighten as you extend the leg up towards the ceiling. Those of us that are really tight in the hamstring, right, the knee's going to be bent a little bit more. That's okay. You hypermobile people, be very, very careful of just pushing the knee out, right? Your hands are right there, so you can feel if you're pushing the knee, the back of the knee, right, pushing that soft tissue out the back, right? Ideally, we want to keep a little cavity in the back of the knee and use the quadricep to straighten the leg. You can see, if I use the quadricep, my leg is probably 93% straight. We'll go with 93. That sounds like a pretty cool number. Plus, it's a multiple of 3, so it's got to be a cool number. Very good. All right, now to release. Keep the upper leg still. Just release the heel towards the glute and release that right foot down to the floor. Oh, already I got a hip cramp. There we go. All right, now we'll try that with the left leg. We'll bring the left knee in towards the chest. Grab hold behind the back of the leg. Just bring the knee in first. So again, here, my pelvis is actually tilting forward a little bit. Not that I want to tuck the pelvis, but I'm just going to push the right foot into the floor. See if I can extend the tailbone towards the heels a little bit, and then relax the hips back down. Then I begin to lift the left foot up towards the ceiling, trying to get that left shin perpendicular to the floor. So that way, ooh, yeah. Very strong in the hamstring where it meets the glute. And again, if you run out of room, just keep that thigh pushing into the rib cage. That's okay. We don't want to take it out to the side and open up the hip a little differently. That's a whole different movement. We'll get to that possibly. So the other side, I felt it in the hip crease. Interestingly, I don't feel it on this side. Got a little issue going on with the right leg. Again, probably has to do with that walking. This one, much more activity in the hamstring and even up into the glute a little bit. Perfect place. That's where we ideally we'd like to feel it. A couple more breaths. Good. So as we straighten the leg, we see if we can keep the hands right there and just slowly extend the heel up towards the ceiling. Again, the hands there is a little tactile, so you can feel what's going on with the knee. I don't really want to push the leg away from me because that's pushing out into the back of the knee. I want to keep the leg here, use the quadricep to straighten the leg. I don't want to pull the leg back, right? Because again, that's possibly where I can push into the back of the knee. Here I can just get the quadricep to fire. So, and really, if you get your quadricep to fire, you're holding onto your leg. But if you let your hands go, your leg shouldn't flop away from you, right? If your leg flops away, you're not using the muscle to hold it in place. Here the quadriceps working. If I relax the hands, my leg should stay right there. Right? Ta-da! Good. All right, keep the upper leg still and just release that heel towards the glute and then release that left foot down to the floor. Take the arms out to the side, the feet together, knees together. And just let those knees drop over to the right. Possibly your first twist of the day. Unless you'd be the one and only person in the world who listens to me and does these stretches before getting out of bed. Right, use your right leg. Push your right leg into the left to come back to center. And then drop the knees over to the left. Good. And use the left leg, right? We use the bottom leg. We use that Madhya Sutra, the inner edge of the body, to come back to center. And then drop the knees again to the right. Good. The right leg pushes into the left to come back to center. And again to the left. Ooh. Got a little clicky cracky going on over here. And left leg pushes into the right to come back to center. One more time to the right. Good. And come back to the center using that right leg. And you guessed it, one more time to the left. Good. And left leg pushes into the right. Just come back to center. Open the legs back, hip width apart. The legs and the feet. Right? All right, bring that right knee back in towards the chest. Little muscle memory kicks in as we straighten the leg up. Ideally, we just use that quadricep, right? Use that quadricep. You can tell if you use the quadricep. If you look where your knee is right now, and if you straighten the leg and your knee drifts away from you, that's where we stop using the quadricep and we push into the soft tissue in the back of the knee. So wherever your knee is, it stays right there, and we straighten the leg up towards the ceiling. Again, you see, oh, now it's even worse, right? Now I'm about, let's go with 87% straight. All right, then bend the knee, take the right ankle to the left knee. Let that right knee drift away from you. Watch your pelvis. One side, your pelvis is going to want to sneak out to the side a little bit. Remember, the biggest responsibility is to be responsible for your own body and know what's going on with your body. So sometimes we bring the knee in towards the chest. That can put a lot of pressure onto the outer thigh, and being it's all about me, I'm feeling a lot of pressure on the outer thigh, so we're going to do something different We're gonna let the knees drop over to the right, legs drop over to the right. So as I do, I'm trying to let that right knee drift away from me. As I come down to the floor, if I can open, the right thigh will reach to the floor. Oh, this is really tough. And my right foot would be up towards the ceiling. But you can see it's pointing at a pretty good angle here. It can't really open up that hip as much as I would like to. Yeah, a little bit more, not too much. Good. Don't hang out here too long and slowly come back to center. A little bit harder. I have to start using the abdominals on that one, right? All right, and then we drop the knees over to the left. As you do, that right knee is still drifting away from you, right? Again, you can't push too hard because really if you push too hard, the pelvis just sways out to the side. So keep the pelvis in place, let the legs drop over to the left. As you do, that right foot should reach flat to the floor. And then you can have a little strength in the knee pushing away from you. Don't push too hard. You'll feel it in your outer hip a little too much. Right? Very good. Excellent. Again, not too long. We can slowly get back to center. There you go. Right, relax here for 2 more breaths. Let that right knee drift away from you a little bit more. Good. And then bring the right knee back in towards the midline of the body. Straighten that leg back up towards the ceiling. Watch where your knee goes. Right? There we are. And then keep the upper leg still. Just release the heel towards the glute and release that right foot back down to the floor. All right, relax here for a breath. Hopefully your floor is not as cold as this one. All right, we'll bring the left knee in towards the chest. And again, watch where that knee is. So when we straighten that left leg up, watch if you push that left knee away from you. So it's quite a big difference from here. If I keep the upper leg still, that's as straight as my leg gets. That's okay, right? That's just a little tightness of the hamstring. Again, all the walking, right? But I'm still very active with the quadricep. If I push the knee away from me, the leg gets a little straighter, but did I really activate anything, or did I just push into that soft tissue? There we are. And we bend the left leg, left ankle to the right. Right, let that left knee drift away from you. See how this side feels. For me, this is the side my pelvis wants to swing out a little bit. So I really have to be aware. Keep the pelvis in place and let that left knee drift away. And normally this leg's better, but not today. It's always interesting, day to day, week to week. You always think one side's a little better, but then usually we start to focus on one side, and then it just makes the other side a little bit tighter. But that is great because you always have something to work on. You never get bored that way. All right, let's see how this side goes. I'm going to drop the knees and the legs over to the left first. As we do, I'm not pushing real hard, but I am trying to extend that left knee away from me a little bit without the pelvis moving. Right? Yeah, this is Marilyn Monroe side. This wants to really swing out, so kind of got to hold it in place. There we go. Drop the legs over to the left. See if we can get that left thigh down to the floor. And that left foot would be up towards the ceiling. Not even close. I'm not sure if you can see Sterling into it, but she's got her left foot pretty good. She's opening up that hip nicely. The knee's drifting away from her. The foot is almost up towards the ceiling. This side, man, it's much tighter on me. So I'm lucky my left foot is pushing towards the wall. It happens. Don't lose sleep over it. Don't lose sleep over anything. Right, here we go. Slowly use those abdominals to come back to center. Right, relax here for a breath. So this we get a little bit of strengthening now to that outer thigh. So we let the legs drop over to the right. And as we do, that left foot flat to the floor. And again, not real hard, maybe 5% of your strength, pushing that left knee away from you, you can start to feel that outer thigh, you can feel that outer hip. Like the old gluteus medius, TFL in there. Good. And again, not too long. We slowly come back to center. Use those abdominals, which we might use a little bit later. We'll see if we get to it. It's always nice because with all the gyms closed, we still need to do some abdominal and some strengthening exercises. So we build those into it as well. The abdominals, always great. Keep the strength there so we protect and help the lower back. Extend that left leg up towards the ceiling. Watch where your knee is, right? And then keep the upper leg still. Just release the heel down towards the glute and release the left foot down to the floor. Okay, just one more time each side. Feet together, knees together. Let the knees drop over to the right. Use the right leg to come back to center and let the knees drop over to the left. There you go. Keep your knees to the left. Let the upper body follow. So you roll yourself in the fetal position. If you need to, if your body needs a little help, lift the right arm up, left hand grabs the right wrist and pull your body. Then you can extend the right leg away from you and ideally just use the right hand to press the body up. And we're just going to come down to our belly. So we'll work on push-ups in a later class. But I was watching a video today of one of my idols, Bruce Lee, and he was doing a one-handed push-up with just his index finger and thumb. Index finger and thumb, he was doing a one-handed push-up. Maybe we'll try that in about another month or so. All right, so just come down to your belly. Doesn't that sound like fun? If you want to try it right now, Jenda, I know you would be onto it.
Oh, Jenda's on. Hi, Jenda.
Yep, index finger and thumb. Very interesting. I thought the video was false at first, but Bruce Lee was a pretty incredible guy. All right, so with the legs extended, all awareness of our hamstrings and glutes, right? We have gluteal amnesia in this country. So the right leg, I want to just begin to lift the right leg. As I do, I want to be aware of how the muscle firing pattern goes. So as I begin to lift the right leg, right away I feel the calf first. Then I begin to feel the hamstring very strong, and the glute is firing like mad. Right, this side is I'm having a little outer thigh, IT band, TFL issue maybe. So it's a little more active. And I'm going to release the right leg down to the floor. Then we'll try it on the left leg. So we begin to lift the left leg. Yeah, still feel the calf first. The hamstring strong. Yeah, the glute's not firing quite as much here. Hamstring's firing much more than the glute on this side, for me. So be aware of your own body and what's happening. Good. Slowly release that left leg back down. Let's try with that right leg again. This time, just to change things up again for me personally, I'm going to flex the foot. I'm going to have the toes down towards the floor. I'm going to lift the leg up. So I don't feel the calf as much there, but definitely very strong in the hamstring. And the glute, again, is firing like crazy. You don't have to lift very high, right? It all depends. If you try to lift too high, too fast, it's going to go right into your lower back, right? And we want to feel that extension. Release the right leg to the floor. Okay. I'm going to try the same thing on the left leg. I'm going to flex the foot. The toes down towards the floor. I'm going to lift that left leg. Oh, yeah. So, again, not the calf, but I feel the hamstring again much more. And now the glute's firing a little bit strong. Good. All right. Release that left leg back down to the floor. All right. One more time with that right leg. I'm going to keep the toes pointed on this one. Or kind of neutral. Hamstring, glute, there we go. So much better for me on that one. Now I start to feel the inner edge of the hamstring a little bit more. The glute's firing, but not as hard, and I don't feel that tension, that tightness on the outer thigh. Good, and slowly release. All right, one more time with that left leg. There we go. The left leg comes up, hamstring, maybe the calf first, right? You can always have that. Hamstring and then glute. There we go. Perfect. All right, and slowly release. Just let the forehead rest on those forearms for 2 breaths. Let your legs relax. So see if you're tightening the glutes. I'm going to open myself up to some jokes, but I usually have overactive glutes, and I'm actively squeezing the glutes almost. I have to remember to relax the glutes, right? Otherwise, that causes a different kind of tension, and that's probably what's causing the outer thigh for me to be a little overactive. So I'm going to squeeze the glutes even stronger and then let them relax. Now, if you're ever in Sterling's class, and I think she has you do the butt squeezes when you're at the gas station. So you squeeze the glutes and relax the glutes. Remember, the muscles, you always want to be able to contract them, but you also want to be able to release them. Right? Because without that release, then the muscles are just contracting the whole time. Then with that, the opposite muscle, the antagonist, right, cannot contract. If one side's contracting, the other side has to release. So if it never releases, the other side can never contract. Right? Think about that with your arm. If you have your bicep contracting the whole time, right, and you never get the tricep can't release, right? You can't contract the tricep, then your arm's never going to move. Right? You have to have that balance between both muscles, right? So that reciprocal inhibition comes into play. Good. Now bend the right leg. I'm sorry, that was more than 2 breaths, unless you're like practicing your full yogi breath at this time, which is 4 count inhalation, an 8 count pause, and then a 32 count exhalation. Good luck with that. All right, so bend the right leg this time. About a 90-degree bend, the foot up towards the ceiling. I have to be honest with you, I've never made it past 24. I try to get to 20 to 32, but 24 seems to be my maximum. And then you kind of lose the rhythm of your breath, right? If you struggle with it too much. And it shouldn't be a struggle. We always try to make the breath as natural as possible. All right, so 90-degree bend. See what happens when you lift your right leg up now. Can you lift your right leg up? Can you get any of the thigh up off the floor? You probably feel your hamstring contract like crazy. Right? And you might even feel the glute really fire. And the glute fires low, the hamstring and glute, right then that connection, man, that becomes very strong right there. Not a bad idea to do this before springtime, summertime comes in, before we wear those bikinis, right? Or Speedos. Very good. Release. I know that was a visual you didn't need. Okay, I got it. All right, release the right leg to the floor. And bend the left leg. Bend the left leg. Again, about a 90-degree bend is enough. Right? And here we go. See if we can lift the left leg. Lift that left leg. Oh, does this one fire as good as the right side? Or maybe not as much, right? One side usually we fire a little bit better on. There we go. Hamstring. Feel the glute. I feel the hamstring a lot more on this side. My glute, not quite so much on this. All right, relax that left leg back down. And back to the right leg. Bend that knee. Here we go. So we're going to lift that leg, and you're trying to take the foot straight up towards the ceiling. Right? We're not bringing it in like the quad stretch. This is just lifting the leg straight up. Right? And that way we don't hyperextend the knee at all, that soft tissue around the knee, or do we get anything into the lower back? Right? The lower back's just really stabilizing the body right now. Hamstring and glute doing all the work. Good. All right, relax that right leg down. All right, back to the left leg. Very tough, right? It's a little easier with the leg straight because the calf can work a little bit more. When you bend the leg, now the calf really can't do anything, can't really help the hamstring out. Now your hamstring and glute has to do all the work. There you go, lift the left leg up. Foot straight up towards the ceiling, there we go. Second time around, does it fire a little bit better? Usually you get a little bit better connection. It fires a little bit stronger. Relax that left leg back down. All right, you know, everything in threes, right? Everything in threes. Here we go. Back with that right leg. One more time with that right leg, bend that right heel in towards the glute. And straight up, right, straight up. Here, my shin is hopefully pretty close to perpendicular to the floor. So as I lift the leg, I want to try to keep that. I want to try to keep that right shin perpendicular to the floor. Hamstring, glute, very strong. Good. Relax the leg back down. And one more time with that lift the leg. There we go. Bend that left heel in towards the glute. Shin close to perpendicular. And here we go. Lift that leg up. Oh, hamstring, glute fire a little bit stronger on this side now. Very good. And release. And once again, just fold the arms in. They probably are folded in. Just look at the forehead, rest on those forearms. Take 3 breaths this time. If you want to try the 4 8-count pause, I used to say hold, but you never want to hold your breath because holding is a strong movement. The pause is when after the in-breath is done, just let the breath circulate within the body and then begin the exhalation. Everything is smooth, nothing is forced. The hard part for me is I tend to take too long of an inhalation. Then when I try to do a 4-count inhalation, that's a much faster movement for me personally. And that makes it a little bit harder. But you're trying to fill your body, fill the lungs with that 4-count inhalation. 8-count pause where the breath just circulates within the lungs. And then 32-count exhalation, very, very good. I find. Very good. And now, so your legs, I start with the legs hip width apart, but for me personally, that's a little bit, for lack of a better term, pinching on the lower back. So I like to take the legs a little bit wider, almost towards the edge of the mat. I find to be a little bit strong and less pressure on my lower back. So from here, I'm going to try to lift both legs. Maybe after another thought or two. Here we go. Lift both legs up. So calves, maybe, hamstrings, glutes. Doesn't have to be very high, right? Because again, if we move too fast, we go right into the lower back. We want to lift those legs up. And you can feel it, right? You want to feel it in your glutes, and then it stops right there. Your lower back, again, is just stable. Right? It's just supporting, not lifting and not pinching. And we want extension of that body. Very good. Go ahead and relax those legs back down. Not bad, right? Hamstrings, glutes. Strengthen your lower back. You can feel it begin to activate, and really just to support. But it's not pinching, and it's not trying to contract and pull the pelvis in. You're just using those legs. That's supporting the torso. The abdominals help on the other side. Right? The abdominals they don't come in towards the spine. And if I can remember, I think I alluded to it last night with the weight training belts and how we got it wrong for so many years, and how they should be used. Maybe if I can remember to bring a belt in, I'll demonstrate that.
Next conversation. Next chat with Frank.
Yeah. On my next fireside chat with Frank, we'll get into that. All right. So this time now, bend the legs, both legs, right? 90-degree, both legs. Good luck. Do not try to force this one. If the legs don't lift, don't worry about it. I'd rather see the legs stay down to the floor and you just have the thought of beginning to fire the hamstrings and glutes than to be like, oh, I'll lift them up and move real quick, right? You're not a fish out of water, right? Flopping those legs up in the air. Very soft, very controlled. Soft? Heck no. It's strong. And hamstrings, glutes begin to lift up. There we go. Now the glutes really fire very hard, right? Both together. That lower back is beginning to stabilize even stronger, right? I feel that whole, you know, one of my least favorite words, I can't remember what year it was, but the core, right? The whole core is firing hard to stabilize the body. Good, relax those legs back down and release those legs out. Take 2 breaths here. Let that body relax. Am I chatting well? A little too much? Right. I'm getting a little reverb from the side over here.
It's like chatty catty today, huh?
All right, extend those arms forward. You can, I do not like to, but you can swing the arms around. The reason I don't like to is, to me, there's way too much internal rotation of the shoulder. Then we bring it back and right away we just kind of flop in and then the shoulder rotates down towards the floor. And those of us that have injured our shoulders in the past, I don't know if any of you know that, but I've injured my shoulders in the past. So I like to just pull the arms in and shoot the arms back. So now I'm going to take my forehead to the floor first. I won't do it right now because if I do it, I mumble as it is. And if my forehead's to the floor, you're never going to hear me. So my forehead is to the floor. My upper back between the shoulder blades is where I want to lift from. So I'm going to try to lift that and your legs are down to the floor. You can even push the tops of your feet into the floor to stabilize the lower body. So with the in-breath, see, and I like my hands to the floor at first, right? Don't lift the arms just yet. We'll get into that. So I'm just going to lift from the upper back. I'm going to tuck the chin into the chest, forehead down to the floor. I begin to lift the upper back. See if I can keep my forehead in contact with the floor for the first few millimeters of lifting the upper back, right? Try to keep the forehead to the floor. Then as I lift the upper back a little bit more, the forehead's going to lift off the floor. But I want to keep the chin tucked in towards the chest. So doesn't matter how high we get, right? And your forehead may not lift off the floor. All good. So just begin to lift. See if I can get a little movement without the head moving first. The head begins to lift, but the eyes are still looking down towards the floor. And then I relax the body back down. And we'll try that 2 more times. So forehead to the floor. Again, I like to keep the hands to the floor at first. The hands want to lift, but if the hands lift, then we usually drop the shoulders. So if the hands stay in contact with the floor, I can lift the shoulders up a little bit higher. Once I lift the arms, right, I lift the arms, the shoulders drop. So hands to the floor, forehead to the floor. Movement begins with the upper back. So the upper back begins to lift. There's a slight movement, and then as you begin to lift a little bit higher, then the forehead lifts up off the floor. Resist that temptation. Your eyes want to look forward. I know they do, but keep looking down towards the floor, looking down towards your yoga mat. Good, and release the body back down, if you haven't already. Everybody does this at a different pace, right? It's all good, it's the honor system. All right, one more time. Forehead to the floor, arms reaching back. So I even use the strength of the back of the hands pushing into the floor. Back of the hands push into the floor a little bit. That allows me to lift the shoulders a little bit higher. Right? And then the upper back begins to lift. The forehead is down towards the floor. The eyes are down towards the floor. It's an interesting thing, but when you lift the chin, it actually drops the chest. So if you keep the chin tucked in towards the chest, you round a little bit more, you can actually lift the chest up a little bit higher. All right, good. And then relax the body back down. All right. Ready to put it all together? Okay. All right, we'll give it a try. Here we go. So the arms will extend back behind, the palms down towards the floor. First, lift the legs. Both legs together, right? Hamstrings, glutes begin to fire. This protects the lower back, right? And strengthens the lower back. Then what we just did, begin to lift the upper back. Begin to lift the upper back, the forehead to the floor. Ideally, your hands are still to the floor. Lift the upper back a little bit higher. Not quickly, right? Very slow. Good. Now from here, watch your shoulders. Lift the shoulders a little bit higher. Then see if you can lift the back of the hands off the floor without the shoulders dropping back down towards the floor. Very good. Then as the last part of the movement, lift your rib cage a little bit higher. And then if you feel comfortable, begin to lift the head. Try to keep that length in the back of the neck, right? You don't want to pinch that cervical spine at all. So you don't have to lift the head as high as possible. Just lift the head where you still feel that length in the back of the neck, wherever you're at. So if you're lower to the floor, you're not going to lift the head as high. Up a little bit higher, then you can lift. Oh, and I'm sorry, then go ahead and come down. Yeah, sometimes you get to talking a little bit, and then you just leave people up there a little bit longer. You know, what are you going to do? All in a day's work. All right, relax your body back down to the floor. It feels good that way, right? It's extension of the body, extension and strength of the lower back, not pinching that lower back to come up. All right, you probably know there's one more coming up, right? One more variation coming up. Again, I'm catching some flack by my partner over here. Ready to take a nap on me here. All right. What's the variation? Oh, I'm glad you asked. So this time now we're going to bend the legs. A little bit tougher with your back. So be, my least favorite word of 2000, I think it was 17, mindful, right? Be very mindful how you do it. Maybe it was 2018. So the head will be down to the floor. As I lift the legs, right, hamstrings and glutes, I want those to fire first. If they fire first, then my lower back says, oh, hey, I don't have to fire that hard. These guys are doing the work. Now I can just stabilize the torso and be that stabilizer. Well, I don't have to be the prime mover. That's the word I was looking for. Prime mover. Bend the legs, lift those legs up. Hamstrings, glutes fire very strong. Then the upper back begins to lift. Right, chin is still tucked down in towards the chest. As I lift the body up a little bit higher, then without dropping the shoulders, then I can begin to lift the arms. Good. Then if you turn the palms towards each other, right, and you lift your upper body a little bit higher, your legs might be there, right? The hands might be able to reach the shin without bringing the legs in a little bit more, right? Right, don't bring those heels in towards the glutes. Don't do that, right? Because then if we do that, we're overstraining the soft tissue of the knee. Lift the body up. Bring your hands towards your legs. Don't bring your legs towards hands. So me, I can only grab the heels. That's the way it goes, right? You know, Gumby over here, right? She can just reach back. She lifts, the arms are extended. She can, without pinching her lower back, she still has extension of that lower back because the glutes and the hamstrings are still firing. All right, relax your body back down. And again, you may not have been able to grab your legs, but we don't want to bring the legs in to do it. And when you do that, you're asking your lower back now to pinch a little bit. And this is as far as I can bring the leg in. If I grab hold of the foot, I come in a little bit closer, there's no muscular control, so now all the soft tissue of the knee is being strengthened. So I want to bring the leg, and if anything, I want to reach the body back to it first, not bring it in and reach, right? Then once you lose muscular control, then it's all into the soft tissue, right? You can't get it back. Once you lose that muscular control, you can't regain that muscular control. You have to start all over. All right, let your body relax here for 3 breaths. You're probably already relaxing. That's it. I'm sorry?
Is that why you just keep on doing it?
No, I'm kidding. Very good. Let's see, what side do we want to roll onto? Let's roll onto our left side. So reach the left arm overhead, roll onto our left side. Then you can bend the knees. Bend the knees. That right leg extends away from you. So here you go, Bruce Lee, right? Let's try fingertips first. We'll try fingertips. See if we can push the body up with our fingertips. Do a little push-ups that way. Very good. All right, come on to all fours. So when you come on to all fours, and as some of you, right, the knees can become a little sore. If you have a very hard floor, it's a little tough. So if you don't have a blanket, a towel can work, or yoga mat. You can also do the yoga mat, right? And sometimes we do that. You just do a little fold. I like to do 2 folds, and it's gonna be on there. Give you a little bit more. Those of us that like to suffer, right, just have the knees down there, that's good too, right? Remember, the more you suffer, the more chills you carry. All right, onto all fours. So the knees are below the hips, right? Me personally, I like my wrists. You can see how much in front of the shoulder they are, right? Because here, I tend to bring the shoulders too far forward, and then I lose that stability. And right now, if I'm right here, the front of the shoulder is very active. Back part of the shoulder is not really working. So then I'm losing that stability of the shoulder. If I bring the wrist forward, now the whole shoulder girdle is working and supporting, right? Supporting the humerus bone into the shoulder. Glenohumeral joint, right? Right leg, we're just gonna extend that right leg straight back. I do not like to lift the leg. I like to slide. The reason being, I'll show you with my left leg. Right, when I take the left leg, if I lift the left leg back, look at how much my body wants to shift to that side. It's very natural for me to want to do that. Right, and then I have to work and I have to bring the body back in. If I keep the leg still and I slide the leg straight back, the pelvis stays in place. It's much easier. Right, so right leg just slides straight back. Why do I do this? I want to stretch out the calf and the Achilles tendon here. So I'm just going to press the heel to the wall behind me a little, not real hard. Good, and bring that right leg forward. And then with the left leg, extend that left leg straight back. You know, I like to just slide it. I know you have a sticky mat, and if your toes are really sticky, then it could be a little hard. You have to lift a little bit. But the toes there, and we just press the heel towards the wall behind us. Again, great way, especially if you're walking like 15 miles a day as well. Your calves start to tighten up quite a bit, so this is a great stretch to do it. Very good, bring that left leg forward. All right, right leg again. This time, right, each time, I like to bring a different awareness to it. The first time, your body's just saying, what are we trying to do? Second time around, I'll over-exaggerate here, but my pelvis wants to tilt forward a little bit. So look at that arch into the lower back, right? So I want to lift that up because here, this is, if I drop into it, it's taking weight out of the calf. So I tilt the pelvis back, then I can push the body back a little further. Now I get a much better stretch into the calf, into the Achilles tendon. All right, you can use your clock there. If you like the clock idea of the belly, that's 6 o'clock, right? 6 o'clock pulls in, and then you can press back over. Bring that right leg forward. And then the left leg. Left leg, slide that left leg back. Usually your pelvis likes to drop a little bit more on one side than the other. And many times muscle memory will just kick in. So you don't even have to think about this one. Already the pelvis is tilting back, or 6 o'clock is pulling in, and you can push that left heel back a little bit strong. Good, and bring that left leg forward. One more time to the right. Slide that right leg back. There we go. Pelvis tilts back. Good. Excellent. Bring that right leg forward. And one more time to the left. Pelvis tilts back. 6 o'clock engages. The heel goes back. Perfect. Bring that left leg forward. And now just bring the hips back towards the heels, however you like. I like to take the big toes together, take the knees a little bit wider, let the hips come back, but I keep my upper body high. Sterling usually likes to relax her head down to the floor. That's okay as well. You may want to keep your knees hip width apart. And the way my hips are, the knees a little bit wider, allows me to move the lower back a little bit. Not that I do it with the wide leg all the time, but day to day. And today, I'm feeling a little bit more lower back, so I'm opening the knees and letting the body come straight back. And I'm keeping the upper body high, because if I keep the upper body high, then the hips come back a little bit lower. If I drop the head, the hips are going to tend to lift a little bit. All right, let's get a little stretch into the side body while we're here. So wherever you're at, walk the hands over to the left, and even put the right hand on top of the left, and shift your hips over to the right. Feel that length underneath the armpit area, the lats, teres major. Everybody always calls it the lats, right? But really, that guy up high, right near the armpit area, is the teres major. It gets neglected. It was a great muscle. It is a great muscle. All muscles are great. Good. Take your hips back to center. Walk the hands back to center. Does your right arm look a little bit longer than your left? Hey, well, God, it does. All right, walk your hands over to the right. Good. And you can even put the left hand on top of the right, and then shift your hips over to the left. And usually we have I usually like to say we have a concave, convex side to the body. So you can feel one side your body likes to move to a little bit more. All right, one more breath here. Try your 4-8-32 breath here, right? Pretty difficult with the belly on the thighs. Good, and then take the hips back to center. And slowly walk those hands back to center. Release the forearms down to the floor. You can release your forehead down to the floor, or you can fold the arms in. Relax your forehead on the forearms. Good. One more breath. Very good. And then extend the arms out. Slowly come back up onto the hands and knees. And gently come back down to your belly. So, the moment you've all been waiting for. So we're going to take the elbows right underneath the shoulders. Ideally, your humerus bone, right, is perpendicular to the floor. And I'm going to turn, I'll let Sterling stay to the side. I'm going to come to the front. So you can interlace the fingers if you like. I'm not a huge fan of it. If you do it, one pinky, the pinkies aren't stacked on top of each other. Right? One pinky is in front of the other. I like to do the double fist. This is very strong, right? You get angry, right? You pound your fist. You pound your fist into the floor. So that's the strength, right? So elbows underneath the shoulders, the fists together, so you can bring the arms in. Mm-hmm. Oh, there are options. There are options. You can do double fist or you can interlace the fingers. Those are your only two options. You only have two options on this one. All right, curl the toes underneath. Curl your toes. So just like we did when we were on all fours a moment ago, the heel pushes towards the wall behind us. Same thing we do here. Push the wall, push the heels to the wall behind you. Your thighs might begin. Then you can push the pad of the feet into the floor a little bit stronger. Then you should feel your quadricep engage. You're not lifting your belly off the floor just yet. You may start to feel it begin to lift a little bit. All right. So as you push the pad of the feet into the floor, do you feel the quadricep engage a little bit? Good. All right, you can relax for a moment. If you need to stretch the foot, just extend the toes back behind you. Tops of the feet to the floor so you can stretch the top of the foot. And I know everybody's toes, right? Sometimes we've broken our toe in the past or surgeries, and it's really hard to curl the toes underneath. If that's not possible, it's not possible. We always work around those different things. A little bit harder, but you can have the tops of the feet to the floor. A little bit crazy, right? All right, if you can, curl the toes underneath you once again. If you let your arms relax, you bring your arms forward. Right, so the elbows underneath those, what's it called? Shoulders. Elbows underneath the shoulders. The fists, right? This is, you get angry, slam that forearm down to the floor, right? Remember, if yoga wasn't meant to be violent, why are there so many warrior poses? So here we go. The heels, that wasn't the joke, Kelly, don't worry. The heels extend back, right? So now I feel the calf very strong. Right away, my quadriceps started to engage. So I'm going to push the heels back a little stronger. I'm going to press the pad of the feet into the floor so I feel the quadriceps even more. Very good. And then back from before, when you lifted from the hamstrings and glutes, can you lift your hamstrings and glutes up now? The heels go back, the hamstrings and glutes lift. Very good. So now your belly begins to lift up off the floor, right? Then when we had the leg extended back, can you tilt the pelvis back a little bit? Or your 6 o'clock, can you engage your 6 o'clock? Don't worry about your forearms just yet. Your forearms getting tired? Oh, that's okay. Don't worry. Very good. Relax back to the floor. Good. All right. If you need to fold the arms in, go ahead and fold the arms in. Let the forehead rest on those forearms for a couple of breaths. Greatest abdominal exercise going right here, right, is the plank. Whether it's forearm plank, whether it's full plank, like the beginning of the push-up kind of thing. All good. Very good. Those transverse abdominals really begin to activate a lot. And to me, this is the whole core. The whole core for me, I could be wrong, but it hasn't happened since 1987, is about mid-thigh. It's the hamstring, it's the outer thigh, it's the quadricep, it's the inner thigh, it's the glutes, it's the lower back, it's the obliques, it's the rectus abdominals, the transverse abdominals, right? All those muscles. It's from here to here, bottom of the rib cage to about mid-thigh, but it's a cylinder. That's the whole core, right? If you use the abdominals, then the lower back's going to go crazy. Your glutes aren't working, right? You need that whole support. Like back in the day when we used to wrap saran wrap around ourselves to make the belly. Right? Hopefully nobody did that, right? All right, here we go. Bring those arms back in. I don't want to be charged with being chatty Cathy again. Not making you work here enough. Curl those toes underneath. This time around, a little bit stronger, right? Muscle memory kicks in. So curl those toes underneath. You don't have to think about it as much. The heels push to the wall behind you. Push the pad of the feet into the floor to engage the quadricep. The pelvis tilts back, 6 o'clock pulls in. Give us that length, right? The belly lifts up off the floor. Now the forearms. So your lower body is working there. It doesn't, you don't even have to think about it anymore. Now begin to push those forearms into the floor a little bit stronger. Notice how that strengthens your forearm plank. And how that stabilizes, that strength of the upper back stabilized, and the pelvis tilting back, right? You still breathing here? Try your 4-8-32 here. Very nice. My God, we look like we can all be in Shape magazine right now. This is awesome. Very, very good. All right, relax your body back down. Yay. Don't worry, we're not going to try to break the world record, which used to be only like 5 hours, and now it's something absolutely insane. Good. I know you want to do one more, so we'll do one more. This one, just stay relaxed here for a moment. But we can also use this to help stabilize the upper body and to find that strength of the upper body. So when we work into Cobra and Shalabhasana, Locust, right? When we did Locust a moment ago, we were lifting the upper body, right? I didn't want you to collapse into the shoulders. We can use that here. So when we come into the forearm plank from here, right, I can get that strength of the upper body. I can keep the shoulders right there, but I can just relax the belly down towards the floor, right? Rather than dropping down, dropping into the shoulders, right? And then trying to lift the body. Here I can get that strength and lift, right? Tilt the pelvis back, get a little bit more length of the body, and I can just release the belly down towards the floor. Then I can take the arms out, and I'm into Sphinx pose. Yeah, right. Sphinx from there. And then I have that length of the lower back. So we'll give that a try on this one. That's a little foreshadowing here. Once again, those forearms, man, nice and strong. That fist, man, slam that sucker down. Think of Thor, right? Mighty Thor. Or whatever superhero you like. Maybe Aquaman? Okay. All right, here we go. Curl those toes underneath. Heels go back. Right, pad of the feet, push into the floor. You know that already. Heels go back a little bit more. We push a little bit stronger, get those quadriceps to work. Lifting those hips, tilt the pelvis back. Right, those forearms pushing into the floor a little bit stronger. Lift that upper body. So you keep your upper body completely still. See if you can relax your hips to the floor. Your thighs to the floor, your plate to the floor. Yeah, right away, you're into that upper edge of the Cobra that we did. If you want to take the forearms out, the forearms perpendicular, parallel to each other, that's fine. You're into that Sphinx pose. Notice how your lower back feels in that position. Should feel very long, have a lot of length to it, right? Because you have now where we were working, when we were building stability of the lower body to lift the upper body, now we have this stability of the upper body to release the lower body. All right, you want to lift back up? Sure you do. All right, so if your forearms are out, just bring those hands back in. How do you lift back up? Curl the toes underneath. Your upper body is still locked in place. It doesn't have to move. This is all lower body now. The heels go back, the pad of feet push into the floor. I like to move from the pelvis. So I like to think of my pelvis tilting back, and I'm just lifting the pelvis up towards the ceiling, with it right back up into the forearm. Is this our second one? We still have one more of these to do, right? All right, relax your body down to the floor. That's okay. We'll take a nap after this, right? Except for those of us that have to go back to work. All right, very good. I'm going to turn the mat to the side. And not that this one shows up very much. This is pretty subtle. But I like to find the muscular activity in a lot of the different poses. Is this pose? Well, I don't know what it is. But, so with the movement, I'll get into We have 1 minute left, so here it goes. We'll do this one 10 seconds each direction. We're going to lift the body up. So first I want to try to drag the elbows towards the feet at the same time I'm dragging the feet towards the elbows. I can feel a lot more strength in the abdominals as I do that. Then I'm going to try it where I try to stretch the mat. So my elbows are pushing forward. At the same time, my feet are pushing back. I find this variation to be much stronger. I can hold this one much longer. If I drag the elbows back, it shortens the movement a little bit. So go ahead and curl the toes underneath, lift the body up. At 45 seconds, just about 10, 15 seconds each one. I just want you to feel the difference of what kind of movement and what kind of muscular activation you get. So first try to drag the elbows towards the toes towards the elbows. Notice what that does to your abdominals. You should feel the abdominals engage much stronger, right? And then try to do the opposite. Push the elbows forward at the same time, push the feet back, like you're trying to stretch your mat lengthwise. I find that one to be much easier, have length in the body, very easy, good, and relax the body back. Very good. All right, and this time we're gonna roll onto our left side. Extend the arm overhead, bend the knees. Oh, we did that last time. So bend the knees, extend the leg away from you, one hand and press the body. All right, I know you guys gotta get back to work, and I'm gonna get yelled at here, even though I'm always the one that stays on time. And so if you're comfortable in a cross-legged, come into a cross-legged. If you're not comfortable there, just extend the legs out in front of you. However you want to sit down, that's fine with me. If you have a chair close to you, you want to sit in the chair, that's great. If it's a recliner, even better. All right, hands resting onto the thighs. Good. With your next in breath, gently lift the palms up towards the sky. And with the out breath, bring hands together in front of the heart. Gently bowing your head towards your heart, merging the mind with the heart. And namaste. All right, Kelly. So Antarctica is the only continent without the COVID-19 because they're so ice-olated.
Kelly, do not encourage him.